Hello and welcome to this week's Ectohead. So here we stand a few days after the release of the documentary by Dan Farrar, The Age of Disclosure. And there have been some interesting developments, chief of which is there's no going back. There are plenty of people who are in positions of power who have decided to speak openly on the subject, as reported by CBS News 24/7. Let's have a listen.
34 leaders in the government, military, and intelligence communities are featured in a new documentary on unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAPs, also known as UFOs. This includes Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
We've had repeated instances of something operating in the airspace over restricted nuclear facilities, and it's not ours.
They have both deactivated and activated nuclear weapons with both the United States and Russia.
These are otherworldly things that are performing maneuvers that haven't been seen.
The UAP activity surrounding nuclear weapons is not a historic issue. It's an ongoing issue.
So there we have it. Interference with nuclear weapons from sources unknown. The sources are seen, a variety of lights of different shapes and sizes. The various security guards at these bases have the unfortunate honor of being witnesses to these things, and in some cases the even more unfortunate and dubious honor of being abducted. Some have stories that tell us how terrifying being a security guard at a nuclear base can be. So, the age of disclosure inevitably leads to the sentence, will there be disclosure? And in this case, will President Donald Trump disclose? In my opinion, there's never been a better opportunity. Donald Trump may be the President of the United States for the second time, in actual fact. But he's not a politician. He's not encumbered by those various trappings. The baggage of politicians or career politicians aren't his. He is a much freer animal politically than any of the previous incumbents of that high office. President Trump is a man of great ego. That is obvious. But he's also a man, I think, of some integrity. I don't know how much, but some. And what he does want, in my opinion, more than anything else, is to be remembered as, without exception, the greatest president the United States ever had. Will President Trump, after the release of this documentary by Dan Farrar, expose the presence of alien life forms and the resultant technology on this planet? Well, do you know what? I don't think that's the question. In recent years, since David Grush has come up, the real question isn't whether or not aliens are visiting, whether or not aliens are here. That's almost a foregone conclusion. No. The real question, frankly, is the secret state. Those people who have, for decades now, done whatever it takes to keep this subject from the eyes and ears of the American people and by extension the people of the world. However, through the various military organizations and intelligence organizations, programs have sprung up, wherein which individuals have been asked to do some questionable things in the name of their country, the love of their country, and patriotism. And that's the real problem. It's been said that people have been silenced, people have been threatened, people have been killed to keep this secret. That's the real problem with disclosure, not the alien presence. What of these men and women who have done these large crimes, these grand acts to further the secrecy and the programs that they're protecting? What happens to those people? Effectively, they will have been involved in the potential silencing, threatening, and murder, let's call it what it is, of innocent individuals who just wanted to, in some cases, tell their story. A regime of fear and intimidation has risen up around the UFO subject, the least part of which is the ridicule that has been suffered by these poor individuals in the media spotlight. For instance, if we look back at the Bigfoot issue, and this is related, there are reports of two men who keep showing up. One dressed as a kind of like a smart police officer with slacks and a jacket, and the other one who's dressed like a biker, much more rough, much more gruff, much more brash. And these two people seem to have been extant in the field, threatening individuals for decades. The story of the Men in Black. There are no doubts that some of these stories are stories of high strangeness. During the story of the Point Pleasant sightings of the Mothman, the Men in Black showed up to various individuals, but they were odd-looking people. Very pallid, bald, wearing dark suits, driving a nondescript car of the era or the decade prior. What's that all about? And then there appears to have been the copying of this high strange Men in Black phenomena. That there are people who are actually human, who've turned up in dark suits and just out intimidated individuals, threatening them in all kinds of different ways. True Men in Black sightings are characterized, as I've just said, by their high strangeness. These individuals look barely human. There's something odd about them, but you can't quite put your finger on it. Witnesses to these individuals have said they want to scream, that they want to shout out, they want to get away from these Men in Black, these odd Men in Black, but they can't. And yet the copycats appear to show up and just, frankly, bully the individuals concerned. So where does this leave us? It leaves us pondering the fact that a subject which, had it been exposed openly as it occurred to us, the human race, throughout history, we would be in a much better position than we're currently in. The path of secrecy has cost sanity, safety, and lives, it seems. And we're all the poorer for it. And that's the real problem that President Donald Trump has in his disclosure. It's not the aliens he needs to worry about. It's his own people. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. Do like, subscribe, and share. It does help the channel immensely. And until next time, this is me signing off. Bye-bye.